Hey there, welcome to Tarot in 10, the Tarot mini lesson every week. I'm Tamara DeGaia, and I teach classes and run groups on the topics of herbalism, tarot, and more. One of my tarot groups is called Tarot Explorers Club, and you can find that at tarotexplorersclub.com. I found the very best way to learn and get proficient at reading tarot is by practicing with other people. And that's what Tarot Explorers Club is all about. It's a Zoom practice group, lessons, and more. You can find out more at tarotexplorersclub.com. Today we are talking about court cards, the kings. Let's wrap up our courts this week. And the kings of the courts. Now, first of all, before I even talk about the kings of the courts, I want to just take a moment to recap. So, court cards of the tarot are the personalities and people of the tarot. And so, like real people in real life, tarot court cards can have a range of personality from positive and productive to negative and destructive. We all have those capacities within ourselves, right? And so, when you pull a court card in a reading, it's either going to represent a real person, it might represent you, or it might represent somebody else, or it might just represent personality characteristics of you or another person. And I also want to mention that even though court cards are obviously, for except for maybe pages, they're otherwise obviously either males or females, please don't get locked into the idea that queens have to be women and kings have to be men and knights have to be young men. It's not true. Court cards can be anyone of any age and any gender. It's the personality that they are engendering, basically. And so think of it more like yin and yang rather than female and male as we look through these cards. So kings, we've all heard of kings, right? We've all seen how power hungry and despotic and tyrannical and authoritarian kings can be, right? But the kings of the court are not necessarily those things. Actually, the kings of the court have gained mastery over whatever part of the tarot that they are part of, whatever suit they're part of, they have gained mastery in that suit. And while pages are immature yin, feminine energy, knights are immature yang, masculine energy, the queens and the kings are the mature energies of the courts of the tarot. And so queens are the mature yin or female energies, and the kings are the mature yang or masculine energy of the court cards. And so we want to think of kings as basically like your boss or a mentor or a father figure even. But again, it doesn't have to be masculine. It's a character or personality that has gained mastery in the outer realm. So queens are more internal focused and they're more concerned about cooperation and consensus, building community. Kings are not about that. They are more outer focused, more external focused, and they're really about governance. Just like the emperor is about governance, they're about governance and mastery and kind of, not necessarily building community, more like building the roads and making sure things get done. So in a way, they can be seen as maybe controlling. And of course, if their personality skews more to the negative and destructive side, there could be some bossy pantsness there, some, need for control, most definitely. But there's a spectrum there of mentoring and helpful and taking leadership in a positive way versus being bossy and authoritarian and controlling. Okay. But kings can certainly encompass that whole range. All right. So controlling, they seek authority in organization. They're active decision makers. They have mastery. They're able to manifest, give counsel, demonstrate authority, and they can be rigid. So let's take a look at the kings of the courts. And so I love using a deck called Everyday Enchantment by Poppy Palin to teach the courts, because I think Poppy Palin did such an amazing job in this deck of making the court cards real people. I mean, these are people that you probably know or have seen on TV, but you can relate to them as real people. Whereas the court cards in the Rider-Waite-Smith deck are a little more challenging to get from them really their personality characteristics. And so that's why I'm using Poppy Palin's deck here to show you one way that you might look at these cards. So this is the King of Swords. I see the kings as being the element of air. Both air and fire are masculine qualities. So to me, the knights are fire and the kings are air. And the King of Swords, of course, is air of air. So here we're looking at a person, a character who is very up in their head all the time. These are the judges, the magistrates, possibly the lawyers, the Spocks of Star Trek, the college professors in some kind of a very who teach in a really intellectual field. Okay, so that's the kind of character that we're looking at, or personality that we're looking at. The King of Swords is very analytical. Also, though, if they're ranging to the positive and productive side, they're very ethical and very authoritative and truthful. But they're also, because they're air of air, very objective and very aloof. This court card is completely ruled by reason and logic. They just don't get why you're being so emotional about this, right? Let's look at this rationally. Let's look at this logically. Let's make a list of the pros and the cons. There's not going to be, how do I feel about this with this character? This personality is all about the head, all about the air. And so this person might be an expert who is very eloquent in how they relate what they know. It could be, somebody who will debate with you about anything, and they are really masterful at doing that and can be quite intimidating. This is a personality that considers the mind to be supreme over everything. Again, I don't know why you're being so emotional about all of this. It's everything up in the head. There's really no room for emotion or instinct even, and certainly passion. Ha! What's that, right? And so the range of personality here is anywhere from very tactical, pragmatic to arrogant and ruthless. And as advice, this card might be telling you to calmly and rationally think through whatever the situation is, and to tell the truth, maybe to speak eloquently, to defend your cause, and to be reasonable, and to think about this really with your head more than your heart, possibly. The King of Wands is air of fire. And if we think about how these elements interact, air, if you blow air on fire, what happens? You get some flame, right? And so where the knights are fire of fire, their energy can burn out really, really hot, but burn out really, really fast. Whereas the King of Wands, he's got that air feeding the fire. And so his energy and stamina lasts a lot longer. But on the other hand, sometimes when you blow air on fire, think about when you have a forest fire, what happens is you get a raging inferno. Well, so if we look at how this king might be positive and productive to negative and destructive, he might be energetic and charismatic and getting things done, versus he also might have a really horrible temper, and he might blow off, just lose his head and have, kind of what we might call a temper tantrum, right? Positive and productive, this personality is energetic, very persuasive, very charismatic, and very sincere. And this person can be a very natural leader, with as long as they will set long-term goals. And at the mastery level, the fire of fire, the Knight of Wands, whew, don't count on that personality for anything. They're off on different journeys, and they're not going to see really probably much through. That's really part of the Knight of Wands. But the King of Wands, we've got the air in there now. So now we've got some goal setting, some planning. We've got the ability to channel our efforts and persuade people to maybe join in and create to make this vision a reality. And so because he can be very persuasive and charismatic, people tend to flock to this person and listen to what he has to say, which is great for a leader, right? I can think of one of my bosses who was definitely a King of Wands. So think about, as I talk about them, think about the people that you know in your life who fit these personality traits of these court cards. It's very, very helpful if you can start to thinking about the courts as real people in your life, or at least as characters in a book or a movie or a novel series that you read, to help you really get to know these and see them as people. So the range for the King of Wands is anywhere from being really resourceful and very energetic to being inconsistent and very egotistical. As advice, this card might be telling you to become more innovative, think about things in a different way, be more outgoing, look at your resources, bring people into your plan, share your vision, and try and get people to help you with it. It might be to not be impulsive, to finish what you start, to delegate, to put your plans into action. All right, the King of Cups. I love how Poppy Palin painted, all of these, but this one in particular, like, oh, this is the dad you wanted, right? He's in touch with his emotional side. He's the one who's going to sit down and play a tea party with his little girl, and he'll even wear the tutu and whatever she wants, right? This king has air of water, and so we have the intellect of the air and the sharpness of the air with the emotional intelligence of water. And so bringing these two together gives us a personality that is smart, able to get things done, but also very much in touch with maybe the feminine side, their inner knower, their intuition, the emotions of others. This character personality can be very caring, very charismatic also. Very much, this is, I see this King of Cups as being maybe a psychologist or a counselor or a school counselor even, or a nurse, or any kind of a job that would be giving of themselves. A poet, an artist, a writer, that all fits in with the King of Cups personality. This person, as a King of Cups, is very tolerant, compassionate, patient, wise, very diplomatic. He feels his emotions. He doesn't hide his emotions, but he also, when he's mature and positive and productive, he doesn't let his emotions rule him. He's very comfortable with emotions of himself and other people. This is the parent or the mentor who really just wants you to be the best that you can be, and let's find a way for you to reach your highest potential, right? Now, on the negative and destructive side of this, well, he may not have the best work ethic. He's very artsy, and that's not a bad thing, but he's kind of running on his own time frame, maybe not meeting deadlines. And for the range of personalities, we have on the one side very generous and compassionate versus because he knows emotions well and is skilled with his own emotions and the emotions of others, he can be emotionally manipulative, and he can tend to be self-absorbed on the negative destructive side of the range of personalities with this particular card. So of all the kings, this one really is the potentially the least reliable. He can also have emotional rages, be narcissistic, and be self-absorbed, again, on the negative and destructive side. So as advice, this card might be telling you to be compassionate, to treat the situation at home, treat the situation at hand with a calm intelligence, to think about how it affects you emotionally, how it affects others emotionally. You want to be weighing both the facts and the feelings of the situation before you're making decisions, not just yours, but those who are involved. But this is one that you really do want to watch out for the negative tendencies of this particular king. The King of Pentacles, heir of earth. So here we see with Poppy Palin's card, someone kind of standing out, very much connected to earth. The earth element is an element that tends to be sensuous and well-grounded. And this king is no exception to that. But this king also brings the quality of air into this card. He's a romantic, and the way that he shows his love is by giving things, because he's a pentacles, right? Earth, very tangible. My signs of my love are here. Here's some flowers, here's tickets to that concert that you were talking about. That's how this personality is going to show their love. This personality is very generous, in the positive, productive side. Can be very conscientious, very economically savvy. He knows how to take $1, turn it into $100, right? And tends to be very thoughtful and very stable. This is probably the most stable of the kings because of the earth element in there. Very well grounded. He's very slow to anger. Again, we've got that earth element in there. And but on the other hand, if we think about back to the Knight of Pentacles, the Knight of Pentacles is the only knight that isn't going anywhere. He's not moving. And that's because bringing the Pentacles energy to a court card means that you've got someone who's going to stop and think about things. And so particularly this king, can be very stubborn. And so when we look at the range of personalities for the King of Pentacles, we've got someone who can be energetic and intelligent and very resourceful and generous, versus on the negative and destructive side, someone who can be very egotistical and stubborn, my way or the highway, and this personality can be hedonistic, which means that they can be more concerned about their own pleasure and what they want than other people's. And so they might, and not just pleasure, but maybe even the bottom line. So they might be a workaholic. They might be someone who takes advantage of other people for his own gain, his own pleasure. He might be that dad who just buys you things instead of spending time with you, right? So that's the negative and destructive potential side. So as advice, this card might be saying to be careful with your financial decisions, to stop and think and hold your ground. Enjoy the sensual gifts and pleasures in life. And one of the things that this king is really good at is creating situations in which everyone wins. And so because he's heir of earth, he has this ability to make sure that his governance is win-win, not when it's balanced and when it's over on the positive, productive side, right? And so as advice, this card might be telling you to try and find an outcome to the situation at hand that is win-win-win. right? Win for you, win for the other person, win for the community, all of that. So those are the 4 kings. Now I have a challenge for you. Your challenge is to start thinking about people that you know in your real life, people you live with, people you work with, people in your community, and also characters in TV shows and movies and books that represent these kings. So imagine making your own court cards. This happened to be a court card that someone in one of my groups did. And it's wonderful. And I encourage you to do one that's similar. And so imagine making your own court cards. Choose characters or real people in your life who embody the positive and productive personality traits for each of the kings for the front of this card. And for the back of the card, choose characters or real people in your life who embody the negative or destructive personality traits for each of the kings for the back of the cards. Okay. So that is a little challenge for you. You don't have to make a card. You can just do it as a journal entry, but doing this activity will really help you get to know these cards as people and personalities that they are. I hope this was helpful. Don't forget the very best way to learn tarot and become proficient at reading tarot and putting all the cards together and tapping into your intuition is really by doing it with a group of other people who love doing it too. And that's our Tarot Explorers Club group. Check it out at tarotexplorersclub.com. The first month is free. And I look forward to seeing you there. Check it out every week. We'll be back here again with another Tarot in 10 on usually Tuesdays, but sometime during the week. Take care. May all your life be luminous.